Hello, and welcome back to the COVID Longhaulers Podcast. We share real stories from those living with long COVID, what they faced, how they're coping and surviving. My name is Jessie, and I'm co-hosting this episode with Emerson.
Hello.
Today, we're joined by Darya and her mom, Dr. Elham Raker. Darya has been living with long COVID for about 4 years, starting in 2021 when she was just 12 years old. Elham is a pediatrician and a parent navigating a medical system that is not equipped for kids with long COVID. Thank you both for joining today.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
To start off, can you both introduce yourselves?
Yeah, so as Jessie said, Elham Raker, pediatrician and mom, most importantly. It's been an interesting experience being on both sides of this, having the doctor experience and now the patient experience and living through that. I have another son who's in college and a husband and not working currently, just being mom for now.
Yeah. And you're in the USA.
We're in the US, yeah, we're in California.
I'm Darya. I'm 16. I'm a junior in high school. Just been navigating this for almost 4 years now.
Too long.
Yeah, it'll be 4 years in
Yeah.
February.
Feels like after 2 years, you lose count.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Darya, after the acute infection ended, what happened next?
First thing that happened was I started getting bad migraines, and I was throwing up. I was sensitive to light. I couldn't even have the littlest bit of light or sound. Honestly, the only thing I do would just fall asleep and hope when I woke up that I wouldn't be hurting anymore. And then after that, other things started to follow. Stomach pains and fatigue and brain fog was definitely a big one. And I slowly got better, but then I got infected again, I believe
2 years ago.
2 years ago. And then everything came back. Since then, I've just been slowly getting better.
Yeah. When you said that you had gotten better before reinfection, what does that mean to you? What was recovery like at that moment in time?
Well, I wasn't back to 100%. I was going to school every day, full time. I was able to go to the water polo practice. I play water polo.
Cool.
I was able to focus. I was getting better, and it was just awful to have all that progress reset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think all of us long haulers' biggest fear is improving to some point and then having all of that taken away from us again.
We work so hard.
Yeah.
And every day is a battle. Since you were infected first when you were 12, just curious if you had any vaccinations then or after?
She got him right before. So she actually got him when she turned 12 because that
Okay.
was the earliest you can get them. And then she got infected that December. So she turned 12 in August. So she was fully protected. She got vaccinated one more time to see if it would help her long COVID symptoms.
Mhm.
And so that was maybe a year and a half prior to her second infection. We made the decision for our family not to vaccinate
Mhm.
continuously without knowing what's doing what.
Yeah.
And it didn't protect her, unfortunately.
So, Elham, for you as a parent, what was going through your mind right at the beginning of Darya's illness in those early months?
I think just like any parent, it was, trying to figure out what this is, what's going on, how do we make her better, fear, confusion, all of those things. I don't think being a pediatrician made it any better, maybe a little worse, I think, because you know too much. But I think you go into mom mode of what is happening. I thought maybe it could be long COVID. I remember even bringing it up to her neurologist at the time because her headaches were the only thing at that point. And everyone just kind of said, yeah, it could be, but so what? What are we going to do? There's nothing we can do different, which may or may not have been true. I don't know in retrospect, but I'm more then and now, to be honest, I'm more the like, let's figure this out. What's going on? How do we fix it? What's next? How do we get things better? So I think I went into that mode pretty immediately.
Yeah.
So it sounds like they dismissed the symptoms as something that they couldn't help with, and they didn't offer any kind of relief at that time.
I did. She actually was hospitalized
Okay.
for a treatment for intractable migraines in March. So about a month and a half or so after her symptoms started, because it was literally just all day, every day headaches. So we did, and her headaches actually got a little bit better after that. But then, like she said, all the other symptoms started popping up. So
Yeah.
by June of that year, we kind of knew this had to be something more encompassing, right? As a pediatrician, I know that an otherwise healthy child doesn't end up with 4 or 5 different specialists within a few months without some underlying cause explaining all of it.
Like a
So,
unifying diagnosis.
exactly. So we knew she had long COVID, but then also, what did that mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right? It's not a very good diagnosis. It doesn't explain anything. It just means that you're sick after having COVID.
Mhm.
So it took us a while to get all the other subcategories. We were seen at a children's hospital who has a long COVID clinic,
Hmm.
and it was the most unhelpful appointment I've had in my life. It was
Oh
so
no.
disappointing, and I've told them that.
What was it that made it so bad?
I was explaining all her symptoms, and this doctor proceeded to tell me long COVID is real. We believe you. You have long COVID. Okay, thank you. Again, I get the importance of validating, right? But I was beyond that. I wanted to know what was going on and how do we
Yeah.
treat this. So he was very good at validating. And then he just said to eat well, make sure you get a lot of sleep and rest.
Well,
That's it.
That's it from a long
Yeah.
COVID clinic. And what does that mean, right? She played water polo 2 hours a day, sometimes 5 or 6 on the weekends. What does that mean to someone of that caliber? Do you now just play 1 hour of water polo? Do you
right.
just sleep all day? Like, what does that mean?
What is rest
Uh,
for a child who's
right,
developing?
right. Like, what does
Yeah.
pacing really mean? That's another thing that I just now, having given that advice to patients in the past, where I'm like, wow, we really needed to be more specific and
Yeah.
offer more help with that. But it was very disappointing. I proceeded to tell him about the stomach pain and the brain fog and all these things. And he never even once mentioned, like, oh, well, there's things like POTS, dysautonomia, delayed gastric emptying. There's these other diagnoses that have been connected to long COVID. Didn't mention them.
And we could find
I
relief from some
learned,
symptoms if we
yeah,
know. Yeah, but he offered
yeah,
you none of that. Wow.
nothing. I learned all of that from Facebook groups.
Wow.
Huh. So did we.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah,
Facebook, but
yeah,
online. Yeah.
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 So it was a very disappointing interaction.
Yeah, that sounds so frustrating and just like such an unhelpful doctor's appointment. So you probably left that appointment and then, as I and many other long haulers did, went online and tried to connect the dots yourself, understand what was going on, and maybe find specialists who could diagnose or offer more specific and targeted treatments. Were you able to find that kind of care?
We ended up going to Denver. It was our first out of state stint. We've had a few, 3 or 4 now that we've done, but it was a clinic, National Jewish, that was offering just diagnosis and help for long COVID, trying to help move things along. We were there as an outpatient for 2 weeks. She got diagnosed with POTS, with severe lung disease, small airway disease. Her brain fog was evaluated, her sleep was evaluated. So, all these tests. And in the meanwhile, we did other studies at home that they wanted us to do, whatever we could get done. Tilt table was impossible to get done here.
Mm.
Meanwhile, they were doing them like every day.
Huh.
But in Los Angeles, where we live, where you would think, a major city, they weren't doing them anymore. Like, maybe it was just decided that it wasn't necessary.
Okay.
And maybe they're not. Maybe the stand test is sufficient. I think the tilt table gives you a little bit more information, but I've heard professionals say both. But they were doing them, and they were doing them often at this clinic, and that's where she got her diagnoses, and that's when we started to implement the things, and we try to see different specialists here. She was going to therapy 3 times a week. We saw a cardiologist here. At that point, her headaches were okay, so we didn't follow up in neurology.
Mm-hmm.
And like she said, she slowly improved until her next infection.
Wow.
So, what kind of treatments were you able to access?
I think therapy was really helpful. She did physical therapy, occupational therapy, and mental health every week. And she wasn't going to school at the time. We were completely homeschooled, so she had a little bit more leeway in her schedule for that. Pacing, we had like an exercise program, so she started doing the reclining bike, and then, just little by little gaining back. And cardiologist started her medication, migraine. She started that medication, and that made a big difference in her brain fog. And then she eventually weaned herself off of it because it was like 3, 4 times a day. So, as I said, she just slowly kind of improved. But yeah, it followed a pattern. It made sense. We were getting better. And the second infection just seems to have overwhelmed her system enough that those milestones aren't being met, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really interesting that I think anecdotally, myself, Emerson, and others in the community find a lot of benefit from occupational therapy. I did speech therapy. I thought that was really helpful. So rehabilitation therapy is kind of the only thing
Yeah.
like it actually makes a difference.
When I spoke to the clinic physician in charge, I'm like, you should at least at the very minimum recommend physical therapy to everyone. It's such an important part, just understanding pacing, understanding your limits, slowly getting back to hopefully where you were, wherever you start from. And also someone who's familiar with POTS, dysautonomia, ideally long COVID, and really understands it.
Yeah. My experience at a long COVID clinic, quote unquote, was very similar to yours. And that was the only thing they referred me to was to an occupational therapist for pacing. That was so important to have someone help you and guide you through finding out what you can do, what is safe for you, what is inside of your like energy envelope, as it's often referred to. So it's really disappointing to hear that they were not even able to offer you the bare minimum, which occupational therapy is often seen as. It's the bare minimum that we can offer patients with long COVID and chronic fatigue.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just a tiny segue here. My trajectory was very similar symptom-wise to yours, Daria. Mine started out as migraines, intractable, never ended for months, was in bed, couldn't look at screens if my husband was doing dishes in the kitchen. It was so loud. It was awful. And that's just a special kind of torture. And so I'm really sorry that you had to go through that at such a young age. I am an adult and it was really, really bad. But like you, I also migrated to other symptoms like POTS and stuff. I always call it the whack-a-mole. You fix one thing and then
100%.
8 other things pop up and you're like,
Yeah.
what is happening? But you're not alone. It's just really, really hard to lose your freedom in that way. Every day you feel like you're losing time and that time is precious. So I'm really sorry to hear that you went through that. I wanted to just kind of go back a little bit. We were talking about therapies that helped in your first infection. In your second infection, it seems like those therapies are not as helpful. Is that true? Are there any medications you've been able to access for after that second reinfection?
Well, I think maybe now, just like maybe just being at school, like being older, having after school clubs and sports, I think maybe I just don't have as much time to do these things. And I just also just don't want to do these things. They're not that
It's not fun.
Yeah. You just want to be a kid. Be a kid.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always this fine line of how much therapy and doctor's appointments versus just letting her go to school when she can and do her sport when she can. It's definitely a balance that, as a parent, I really try to be very cognizant about. And, as you guys know, people come up to you all the time, like, have you tried this? Have you tried that? My friend did this. Have you? And they all mean it well, and I don't,
Yeah.
I'm not upset, about it, but my answer is always the same, is I have to be very careful with how much I ask her to do and put her through. Like if it was me, I'd sit in therapy all day long. and try all the things, sure.
Yeah.
But I can't with her. So that's been challenging also. And I mean, I'm grateful. She's grateful where she's
Yeah.
going to school. I know a lot of kids that are bedbound, homebound that can't even do that. So I'm grateful that she can do that. But again, we just want her to be able to do it without any limitations.
There's something to be said about having a purpose and
Yeah.
feeling like you're engaged in your own life. Just having something else in your life besides managing your illness is so important and something to look forward to,
Yeah.
something to do every day besides take the medicine at this time and go to this doctor's appointment, and especially when you're not getting a lot of value from doctor's appointments. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
And medical burnout is real. I think that is something that is overlooked, as how exhausting it is to go to doctor's appointments when that's the only reason you go out
Yeah.
of the house. It's really harmful for your mental health. And then when those doctors dismiss and minimize your symptoms,
mhm.
it just
Yeah.
takes this massive toll on you.
There's a few doctors that I see on my own on telemed that I just kind of update them on how she's doing and I do the appointment.
Smart.
I feel the medical burnout. Not that she doesn't, and not
Right.
to take from what she's feeling or anyone else, but I think as a parent also it's very personal and we try to take as much away from our kids as possible so they don't have to go through it. So yeah, I probably have 2 appointments a month without her.
Yeah. You're a good
Understand.
team. Like, you have to be
Yeah,
a
yeah,
team. You
for
can't
sure.
just, it's not
For
just a patient, it's a whole team of,
the
yeah.
support system. Yeah.
So, what is for you? I mean, this is probably hard to answer because there's so much, but what is the hardest part of watching her go through this? And maybe that changes through time for you as a parent.
The hardest part for me is that she's not living her life, to put it in just one sentence. I mean, she's not living her potential. She's not living her life as a typical 16-year-old. It's not about having grandiose dreams, which, we all have as parents. Sure, you want your kids to succeed and be happy and have all the things. And I think in the long COVID community of parents, we want our kids to wake up and go to school pain-free. That's it. Right? And it's something that any other parent wouldn't even think about because it happens
It's
all day,
automatic.
every day, normally.
Yeah.
So it's not a lot that we're asking for, but that would be the world to me.
Yeah. And I'm assuming, Daria, your answer is similar. There's so many things, but what for you is the hardest part of living with this?
hmm It's been very tough academically. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's a bit of a shallow answer, but I've always been a really good student. I've always been a straight A student. Not to brag, but it's been tough. I can't take this AP class. I don't have time to do this science class I want to do. I feel like I'm not living my potential academically when I feel like I really could be like soaring. Yeah.
100%. And I'll do a little bragging for her. She's still getting straight A's. I want everyone to know how hard that is. She's not getting straight A's because it's easy for her. She's getting straight A's because she's working that much harder
Yeah.
to get those A's, to get that, to do those things. And as you guys know, we call this invisible disease because when you see her, she looks great. Right? I've had so many people, oh my God, I saw your daughter, she looked good. And again, I get it. They mean it as a compliment because they know what she's going through and they mean it to sound well. Or her teachers will say, well, we haven't noticed anything. She does so well in class. Like, but you don't see her the days she's in bed and unable to get out and with a headache and crying. So I'm always trying to explain to people how much this is affecting her because no one can get it.
Yeah.
And this one is like, I don't want anyone to know. I don't want anyone to know what I'm going through. I don't want anyone to see the other side. I just
You
want
just want to be
to,
normal.
Yeah.
and I get it, but like everyone needs to understand how hard you're working. I just think it's a testament to all of you guys. I'm sure you feel the same, Emerson, when you went through this, you didn't necessarily want to tell every single person in your orbit, like, hey, this is all really hard for me. But as a parent, I'm like always trying to be, yeah, I know she looks good. That's great. But listen, here's what's really happening, right? Like, I just want people to understand the struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah. The things that we can do with a teensy tiny amount is so much less than what we used to have. And it reminds me of a guest we had on one of our episodes, Noah, when he said, if there's ever a cure for this, you better watch out because we are going to own the world. Because you're just like so used to
So
like
true.
doing so much with so little, and you just fight so hard every day to live your
Yeah.
life and to
Yeah.
be free of pain and free of that discomfort.
None of us would choose this, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody would choose this ever, ever. And if you had a way out, you would take it in an instant. But
Yeah.
there are things to glean from it.
Yeah. If
You
you're going to
know,
go
so
through it, you might as well learn something that will make you more powerful in the future.
for sure.
Yeah.
So going back to the conversation around school, are the teachers majoritively understanding, or is it really difficult to get them to accept that Daria might be missing school sometimes or not doing well?
No, I mean, really, almost all of my teachers have been really great, super accommodating and understanding. And I'm very lucky. I know like a lot of kids don't have that. A lot of kids who like, not even just with long COVID, but like with other disabilities or mental disorders, really struggling with that. But for me, it's really been great.
I'm glad to hear that. And how would you say that, if you feel comfortable talking about this, how would you say that your friendships have changed in the last 4 years? Have your friends been able to understand what you're dealing with?
Well, it's been tough, like definitely in the beginning, also like not being able to hang out with my friends, having to be like, I'm sorry, I can't go to this, or like the day of, I'm like in a crash, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't be with you today. And also like with school, not seeing anyone, like not going to school and not seeing my friends. But like ultimately, my friends have been really great. I have a really, really close group of friends that been super understanding, and that's really great to have. I think like
Mhm.
without them, I would definitely be struggling so much more.
That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah.
We always try to prioritize her social times with her friends as much as possible.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like never ever something I would take away or try to limit if I didn't have to.
Yeah.
And it's probably so hard to navigate reinfection with that too, because
Yeah.
there's no one's taking any
Yeah.
precautions. So you're like, okay, I have these risks to weigh constantly.
We talked about that, and
Yeah.
the mask wearing, it's the
Yeah.
whole, it's
It's hard.
hard. It helps. It's not 100%, right? You still could get sick, unfortunately, and then it's just another way that you're like different.
Yeah. It's
Right.
alienating. People stare at you, make comments. It's
Yeah.
difficult.
Yeah. It's really, really hard.
Yeah.
If you're comfortable sharing, you mentioned you have a son in college and with the rest of your family, either immediate or even extended, like what kind of impact has this had on them?
That's a good question. We've always tried to talk to our son very openly and just always say that if you need to talk to someone or need help with anything, or if you want to talk to us about it, and so on and so forth. And he seems okay. I think he definitely worries about his sister, but we don't ever try to put anything on him,
Mhm.
as far as feeling responsible in any way. I mean, I do ask him to help out. He's older, he drives when he's home from college, things like that. But I hope not in any more than I would in any other situation with an older child. But really try to keep focus on him when, the focus should be on him, focus on her when it should be on her. Having him go to college, I think, was great. I was really happy that he was moving away and living his life and doing what he's supposed to be doing. So I think overall he's been okay, but it affects our family for sure. My husband and I primarily. There's
Mhm.
times on vacation where we can't do things that we planned. There's times where I stay home with her and maybe my husband and my son go somewhere we were supposed to go, or we just cancel plans completely. So it limits the things we do, but yeah,
Yeah.
we'll do our best.
Yeah. Have you been able to connect with other children or young adults with long COVID or parents with kids with long COVID?
I stalk the Facebook groups, so I'm pretty active. And I do have different groups. Actually, I have like a long COVID doctor group, and I have a long COVID moms group, and a long COVID Facebook moms group. There's a few that I speak to kind of more regularly. I don't think Darya has had as much, but she's connected with a few people with texting and whatnot. There is definitely some support groups out there, but I think they're hit or miss. And I think that it's also time consuming, right? To join like a group when she's already busy just doing the things she has to do. I don't know. How do you feel about it? You haven't necessarily wanted to try those groups, so I'll let you speak about it.
No, I've definitely met some people. I have a few friends that I met through either like these clinics or just online. And I'm fairly close with them. I talk with them, like I update each other on their lives. But those groups have never really been my thing. It just seems like, I don't know, just too many people.
And you
in
already
my setting.
have your friend group that you find a lot of support in, so it almost seems extraneous in that case. So glad that you haven't had to depend on those communities to get that validation and support that you need. That's
Yeah.
I'm going to switch topics here, going back to something that you've said, Elham. You said that doing no harm can actually cause harm in long COVID. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I wrote an article about that. I don't remember how long ago. It just stemmed from this whole concept of when I said, could this be long COVID? And the doctors responded, yeah, but so what? It stemmed from going to the long COVID clinic saying, we have nothing to offer. And there are things to offer, and there are things that we could do. It's not okay to just say, there's no treatments, there's no FDA approved, there's nothing in the books, we don't have textbooks written about it, we don't have 20 years of data to
Yeah.
support. I don't think that's okay. I think you have to offer something. You have to look at the patient in front of you, not at their labs. Like we've discussed the dismissive comments. We went to a pediatrician. Our pediatrician unfortunately passed away kind of at the beginning of her illness.
Oh my.
And we
Okay.
went to her replacement. Literally went through everything going on with Darya, like by systems, right? So in residency, we present patients by systems, neuro, respiratory, cardiovascular, right? All the different. So I'm presenting to her like I would in a medical presentation. And then she examines her and she looks at her and says, well, she looks great. And I'm like, I could not think of a more dismissive thing that you could have said in that moment.
That is the most unmedical statement I think I've ever heard.
Yeah.
I'm like, thank you. Like I was almost dumbfounded. Like I didn't even know how to respond to that. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just not okay.
Right.
I get it. I get it. I get the doctor's perspective. I was there. I was that doctor. We don't get trained in these arenas appropriately.
You mean
100%,
like
right?
in infection-associated chronic conditions? Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Chronic illnesses, all of them.
Mhm.
POTS was explained to us like, oh, well, just, salt and water. Like no other things as far as the headaches and the fatigue and the things that come with it. So it's all of that, and none of that is explained in medicine. I think the other big misinformation that I'm understanding, having her go through almost two different illnesses, right? Like one she recovered slowly, got better, and then the other one where she's not really getting that same milestones. And it just made me realize that every chronic illness is different. And sometimes we also look at patients who aren't getting better as if it's their fault. Like you're not doing the right steps because look, this person got better and that person got better, right? But it's putting the onus on the patient, which I think is also very wrong. And this happened
Yeah.
also with another physician who said, all my other long COVID patients are getting better. I don't know why you're not. And again, I was just dumbfounded and I really thought about it. And I'm like, they're probably not getting better. They're probably just not coming back to see you.
Oh, bingo. That is it.
Because I'm not going to waste my time with a physician that isn't going to offer me anything. So
Yeah.
those things in medicine have been very disappointing, and that's what we have to change. I get that we don't have treatments. I get that we don't have things that are readily available, but the attitude, the ideology, the way we approach, we have total control over those things. That's what I really want to hopefully share with other doctors, to start looking at this differently and be mindful of the things that we say and how we say them. It She's doing all the things she did the first time, right? You can't say, oh, well, you're not getting out of bed and you're not doing the physical therapy and you're not doing the foods. We're doing all the things, and there's something going on in her body. Yeah, I think this idea of we have nothing to offer, we need to really reevaluate that in many ways.
Totally.
So for you, the doing no harm comes from both the medical gaslighting and dismissal, as well as the unwillingness to offer basic things like occupational therapy or physical therapy, as well as maybe explore experimental quote unquote treatments like low dose naltrexone or off label medications for POTS, etc. Have I understood
Yeah.
that correctly?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that reminds me of the first year of my illness when I would go to the doctor and they would be like, well, we'll know more in 5 to 10 years. And I'm like, oh, I guess I'll just hold on until then. How is that an answer that you give me? That whole model of, well, we can't try anything because it's hasn't been standardized enough through
Right.
research is you're just leaving so many people to suffer. And at this rate, so many people are ill with long COVID that this is just untenable. I wanted to follow up and ask you if you had attended or listened in on the Recover workshops. There was the one in September, and then there was also the Canadian Symposium on Long COVID, where they had talked a little bit about long COVID in kids, and they touched on this issue on in some of the sessions where the researchers, you're not designing studies for kids. You're not meeting them where they are. And by saying you want to protect children from the research because it might be difficult, right? You might like put them in PEM or something. Like they're already in harm. Had you listened in on that, and what is your
Yeah.
perspective?
Yeah. I think that doing research studies on kids will be difficult, and it will require like a whole way of doing it. And maybe there's not enough money, and maybe there's not enough, whatever it may be. So that part I get, but I think not including teenagers is just lazy.
Yeah.
There's nothing magical about 18. There's
Yeah.
nothing that happens in your body when you turn 18. So I think you can take postpubertal teenagers and include them in the adult studies. Maybe you have like a different arm, but that's not
Hmm.
going to take a lot more work or energy. There's no reason, once you establish safety, there's no reason not to include them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's my first comment on that. My second comment is that kids like her have been giving their sweat, blood, and tears literally for the past 4 years to the Recover study. No one has done anything with that.
Yeah.
Not a thing to look at all of that data. She goes to Children's Hospital and spends a whole day there, which you guys know how much of an energy suck that is. And nothing, no data has come out of
It's
that. So,
shameful.
yeah,
It's
Yeah.
shameful.
yeah. So those are my two biggest comments. Not that I don't think children should be included in studies, I 100% do, but I understand why that can take a little bit more time and effort and it's not happening. But not including adolescents and not looking at all of this data and analyzing it, I don't see any excuse for that.
Yep. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
doing no
think,
harm is also doing harm. Sorry.
yeah.
100%. You're asking these kids to come in and spend days and give blood and do all these tests. She's doing these cognitive tests, which are so draining for any of us. I mean, I come out of those appointments exhausted,
Hmm.
and I'm not doing all the things, and I don't have long COVID, and I can sleep and feel better the next day. She can't.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and to not be doing anything with that is beyond disappointing. And we are doing harm. We're doing a lot of harm.
Yeah. So, what do you think that should be improved in general in studies and medical care, etc., or changed for kids with long COVID?
Number one, there should be more long COVID clinics that are multidisciplinary. Every parent I know is becoming the case manager for their children. And as a pediatrician, I can't tell you how hard that is. I can't imagine for someone without that pediatric or medical background to do that. So I think that we need long COVID clinics and we need more of them, and we actually need them to treat and offer something. I don't care
Yeah.
if it's FDA approved or not. There are treatments out there and they need to be offered to these kids. We need multidisciplinary and we need those disciplines to talk to each other after an appointment. So child should go in, see everyone that they need to see, they should discuss it, come up with a plan. Should not be up to me to decide which medication to take next and how and why and how long and all those
Yeah.
things that the parents are deciding. So that's number one. Number two is research. We don't have answers. We're all throwing mud at the wall, hoping something sticks. And that is an awful way to treat any disease. And the only way we're going to have answers is more research. So we need the government, we need NIH, we need private funds, all of it. And it can't be just, let's just do this one study. The study right now is on low dose naltrexone, which great, yeah,
Only
it should be
thing. Yeah.
studied. But it's something you can get. It's something you can try without being in a study.
Yeah.
I want to see IVIG studied. I want to see bigger things. SGB is being studied, but not on kids. I want to see these bigger things that you can't just do on your own studied and really understood. And I wanted biomarkers. I want to know what is happening. We can't just rely on, do you feel better today or do you not? You know, with this waxing and waning disease, I don't know if she feels better because of a treatment or if she feels worse because of a treatment because she could have crashed anyway. I have no idea. So we need biomarkers that are going to say, yeah, this is getting better, this is getting worse, or this isn't being affected, or whatever it is. And there's millions of kids, as you guys know, the JAMA study, 6 million kids affected just in the US. They're not all being diagnosed. Without a blood test, they're not going to know. All these kids are being gaslit by their parents,
Yes.
then by their physicians, and then by their mental health provider. You know, they're just,
Yes.
I see these in Facebook groups, these moms saying, I don't know what's wrong with my kid. Do you think I should take him to a therapist? They're dizzy, but they can go to school, but some days they can't go to school. And I'm like, oh, it's long COVID, it's long COVID, it's long COVID. We're not checking for COVID anymore, right? Most people don't even check. So if you go to your pediatrician and they say, were you sick or did you have something? Most parents would be like, I don't know, maybe he was sniffling 6 weeks ago,
Yeah.
right?
There was a
They
mystery
don't.
virus that went around. At the same time, the wastewater data was high for COVID.
Right, if they even remember that their kid was sick.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
takes a lot to put it all together.
Mhm.
And more than her, who I love, and I want her to be healthy, of course, right away. I do this, I talk, I post, I do these things because I want awareness for the millions of kids who are likely being completely ignored.
Yes.
And that makes me so sad and so upset thinking about those kids who are probably trying so hard and just being called lazy.
Yes. That was an
That
amazing
was
answer. That was
yeah.
mic drop. That
Yeah.
was fantastic. And I'm so sorry that you're in that role. It's so needed. Someone had to be, but I'm sorry that it's you. It's such a hard thing. And I know that there will be so many people that are already grateful for all the advocacy that you've done.
Yeah. It's so frustrating that all the advocacy work is on us, affected people and the family of affected people. And it's just too much pressure on people who are already under so much pressure and so unwell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. But given that, they're doing an amazing job.
Yeah.
I'm always so impressed by this community. And you're right, I can't wait to see what all of you do when we do find a cure, God willing, and we do have treatments and you'll run the world.
Chronically ill people are the best people. I'll just say that.
We see that in every episode, Jessie.
I know. I need another jingle. I guess we should move to closing now.
Yeah. So, Darya, I have a question for you. What do you wish more people understood about long COVID?
I guess maybe just I feel a lot of times I feel like I'm not doing as much as I could. I go to school and maybe I'm doing a group project and maybe I'm like not putting as much into my group. And my group members are what are you doing? We need you here. And it's tough at one end wanting to be like validated, understood, and at the other end, like not wanting to tell people about this as like my mom said earlier. I have been like really like keeping a secret. I don't want to go around telling people about this point in my life because I don't like it, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't want to be different or singled out.
Exactly. I don't
Yeah.
want to be seen as disabled, if that makes sense.
People are so quick to judge with chronic illnesses that they don't understand. And long COVID is such a strange chronic illness. Not even doctors understand what's going on. How are teenagers in school supposed to understand?
Yeah, it's very hard. It's like my husband says, we just tell people she has a heart condition. It's like, how do you explain this for people to get it? Like,
Yeah.
and of course, nobody wants to have cancer, nobody should have cancer, nobody, I'm not wishing it on anybody in any way, but when you tell someone you have cancer, they get it, right?
Yes.
I'm going through chemo, you get it. Long COVID, they're like, okay, I'm sorry,
You have a cough?
do you feel sick?
Like
Do you have,
they
yeah,
don't,
exactly.
yeah.
Like, it's very hard and ambiguous. And I guess I would leave it as I don't expect everyone to understand it. I really don't. But I would say be kind to everyone. If I could leave it with one thing, with positive thing for all of us, is everyone is going through something that you know nothing about. And I mean everyone. This past year has shown me that. And it's not just whether you have long COVID or not or a disability, but what you see is not what's really there, right? It's the iceberg. And I think kindness can go a long way for all of us. Kindness and understanding.
Amen.
Yep.
So, our last question for you today. This is actually two questions, one for you, Elham, and one for you, Darya.
Yep.
Do you have a message for parents with kids with long COVID? And Darya, do you have a message for kids with long COVID?
Yeah, my message for parents is don't give up, keep advocating, believe your kids and believe in your kids no matter what, no matter how many people tell you that it's not real or family members saying they just need to be disciplined. Believe your kids. You're their biggest advocate and don't ever stop. Even though I know how incredibly hard that is, I'm not saying that lightly when I say be their advocate. It takes a lot of effort, but don't stop.
I definitely want to say don't keep this hidden. Don't keep your emotions bottled in. There are people in your life who care about you. And this goes for so much more than long COVID. Like if you're struggling like mentally, like there are people who want to hear about it and want to help you. And yeah, let people know. I think that is important. And also a dog never hurts.
They make everything better.
Yeah.
Tank,
Amen.
our little guy, helps her get her spoons in the morning.
Oh.
What's his name?
Tank. Like an
Tank.
army
I can
tank.
see him. Oh my God.
Imagine him when he was a puppy. We called
Oh
him
my
Tank.
God. Thank you, Darya and Elham, for joining us today on the podcast and sharing your experiences. We know it's going to resonate with a lot of people out there. Listeners, if you're able to, we hope you'll consider donating to a long COVID charity that focuses on supporting kids. If you're in the US, check out Long COVID Families. Or if you're across the pond in Europe, Long COVID Kids is a great option. Both are linked in the show notes. And if you have suggestions for other long COVID charities focused on children in other parts of the world, please share them with us. We'd love to know about them. As always, while our discussions offer medical-related insights, this is not medical advice. Always consult your healthcare team with any of your medical concerns. If you'd like to connect with our community, you'll find a link to our Discord in the show notes, along with our Substack and socials. We aim to release episodes monthly, so please subscribe and stay tuned for future episodes. Until next time, this is the COVID Longhaulers Podcast signing off. See you on the next one.